Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of Get Wrecked, the only podcast anywhere in the world where two buds take turns recommending and reviewing some of their favorite pop culture hits, hidden gems, and oddities. I am of course your host and resident silly boy Thor, joined today as always by my friend and co-host. He didn't hear a word of what Joe said, he just put a bullet into his head. It's Micah.
That's a Kings of Leon reference, yeah?
That is, yeah.
Okay.
That's
all
a
right.
song called Joe's Head, where
Joe's
he talks
Head.
about putting a bullet in Joe's head for sleeping with his girlfriend.
I guess that makes sense. That's a valid feeling, I guess. You threw me off a little bit there, Thor. I didn't know that we were starting.
Oh, okay.
I was like, all right, we're ready. But normally I hit record and we'd chat for like a couple of seconds and then we go, all right, you ready? And then we start. This time I was like,
no, I'm jazzed. I'm pumped.
I clicked it and you were like, hello, folks. Oh my gosh. Okay. So yeah. So what are we getting into today, man?
Kings of Leon.
Kings of Leon.
And specifically their first and second albums. Their first album, Youth and Young Manhood, and their second album, Aha Shake Heartbreak. And they were put out around 2006, 2007.
Yeah, I think about how long ago that was, and it doesn't feel like that long ago. And then I realized that it's 20 years ago. It makes me feel real old, and it makes me like I don't see Kings of Leon as a band that's been around for almost 20 years.
Yeah. So Youth and Young Manhood, the first album, 2003. Where were you in 2003?
I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah, I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
In 8th grade. And then Aha Shake Heartbreak came out the following year, 2004.
Yeah, yep, high school. Dude, freshman year for me, I had such a crush on some of the seniors in my class because with us going to a trade school, I was in classes like I went for commercial art.
Mm-hmm.
That was a mixed level course. So the level 1s were with the level 4s. So 14-year-old Micah was in a classroom with 18-year-old high school chicks.
Chatting it up with some seniors.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm like, man. Yeah, they were, yeah. And of course, I was like, not to boast, but I was pretty good as far as my level in the classroom. So the seniors liked me a little bit more.
Okay, like as far as your skill level?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, that's where I was at in 2003. These guys were jamming out.
Yeah, no, I actually I discovered this album a couple years later, because I was probably maybe like a junior in high school.
Oh, when you discovered them?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I tell you, these two albums, love them to death. And a lot of times when I pick music, it tends to be people with like a really interesting, unique story.
Yeah.
These guys, they do have an interesting story, but certainly not at the level of like Bowie or Sublime or the Fugees, right?
Yeah.
It's just great music that I love. Easily these two albums in my top 10. We've pretty much just been working through my top 10 albums on this show.
Yeah.
Aside from Crass, I wouldn't put them in
You wouldn't put Crass in your top 10.
No. Maybe one or two of their songs.
Sure.
But as a whole, like...
Yeah. I wouldn't put any of Crass in my top 10, but there were a couple of songs that I enjoyed more than others. Man, okay. I've got to ask you a question totally off topic.
Okay.
And you can cut this if you want.
No, that's fine.
What was it like being in that junior high school that year?
It was the year before? No, it was that. Well, it was 2002.
Because you were
yeah. So what you're referring to is my junior high school. It was 2002, and maybe it was 2003. I think it was towards the end of the year. A kid who I sat next to in science class.
Oh, geez, you sat next to him.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Brought in a gun and was the school shooter. He shot our principal, a guy by the name of Dr. Segro, and then everyone ran. He turned the gun on himself. I shouldn't laugh.
It's how we cope, man.
It's more like a circumstance. So yeah. I actually wasn't there.
Okay.
I'll never forget this though, because me and a couple of my friends were on our way to school. Because school hadn't even officially started.
Right. It was
what happened. Everybody would get there in the mornings. All the people who rode buses, they would get there early whenever the bus dropped them off, and they would all sit in like the cafeteria until classes started. So we're up at the top because the junior high is at the bottom of the hill, and at the top of the hill is the elementary school. And so we're walking and we're laughing and joking, just normal kid stuff. We're 8th grade boys, you know what I mean? Just goofing around. And all of a sudden, we just see a bunch of people come running up the hill.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're at the elementary school walking past it, and we just see just a mob of people running up to us. And I'll never forget this. Okay, there's this guy. I can't think of his last name, but his name is Josh. They're all running up, and at first we're laughing. We're like, look at these dorky track kids running track at 7 a.m. What's going on, right?
Hold on. Before you get too far in this, you're telling me the track kids were at the head of the pack?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's what gave it away. And then we were like, oh wait, they're all just wearing clothes, their normal clothes.
Okay.
And that's not the track team.
Okay. I thought you were telling me that the track team was ahead of everybody.
No. But this kid Josh, so we're like, dude, Josh, like he gets up to us first, and we're like, Josh, what's going on? And he goes, somebody just got shot. Click, click, boom style. I swear to God, word for word. That's what, and we're like, what? And then everybody went to the elementary school. We were locked down there for a few hours.
I bet.
Which really pissed me off. I'm like, I should have just went home. Because I had to just sit in in the school.
Sheesh.
Yeah, man.
That's wild.
That was a big deal. Yeah, that kid sat next to me in science class that year. And, I mean, we knew him, too. It's not like it was a huge school. I had a few classes with him the year before as well. A kid named Jimmy Sheets.
That's right. His name was Jimmy. Yeah, I wasn't there, but I remember like our friends just telling me about it because like Dan was there. Yeah. And I think that Dan was in the spot where it happened.
Yeah, a lot of the people in my class saw it happen.
Yeah, that's wild.
Like actually saw him. I mean, I can't claim to say I really have any like trauma or anything from that. I wasn't actually there.
Well, thankfully you weren't there.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm very thankful for that. Yeah. It's not something you want to see, I assume.
Sheesh.
But yeah, man.
Okay. We
were on like fucking CNN because back then it wasn't like there's a school shooting every other week.
Right.
So yeah, it made CNN. I remember seeing our school on the national news, seeing pictures of our school. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's wild.
That's insane.
All over a girl too.
He
was dating a girl. She broke up with him, and I mean it's sad, man.
Yeah,
it is. It's obviously very sad. It was a long time ago at this point, 20 years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, about as long as Kings Leon's first album.
I mean, I don't know if the two are related.
Probably not.
I'm going to assume they're not. Who knows?
Oh.
Hey folks, make sure to stay up to date on all the latest episodes by following us at Get Wrecked Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Or if you have any recommendations you'd like to hear us review on the show, you can contact us directly via email. Or, I don't know, maybe you just want to send us some feet pics. You creep, I don't know what you're into. I don't care. We'll review those too. What do you think of that, huh? In any case, all your requests, feedback, and general criticism of the straight white patriarchy can be sent to getrectpod@gmail.com. That's GITRECDPOD@gmail.com. Now, back to the show.
Okay, anyway, I just was curious. You said that you were in 8th grade, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's right, you were there. And I was having a real hard time focusing on what you were saying. I just had to ask you that question.
Just thinking about that, yeah.
Okay. Anyway, moving on. You love Kings of Leon.
Yes.
Okay.
I love these two albums. I'll be honest, I don't really know a lot of their work that came after this, aside from 2008, their 4th album, these guys were making albums for a while. It took their fourth album till they found mainstream success.
Yeah.
That's the song that had, I've been running around, always looking down with no last name. That song and Your Sex is on Fire.
Yeah, both of those hit pretty big.
Yeah, that summer, that was the summer of like 2008 or 2009, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
That they really caught fire at that point.
That's when I found out about them. That's when I heard about them.
Yeah. And I was happy to see that they were getting success, because I was like, I know that this is a band of musicians that make good music. I didn't particularly love that. It felt like they kind of went a little bit more pop and alt-rocky.
They definitely changed.
Which is fine, just not for me.
Yeah.
So for me, these two albums, that's what I'm in love with.
Yeah. Yeah, when you had me listen to this, I was expecting something akin to what their radio singles are.
Yeah, it's pretty wild how much they changed.
They changed a lot. Yeah, it's very, very different. It kind of reminded me almost of the songs that I've heard of Jet a little bit. Mm-hmm. Something along those lines.
I would say they really have, I think they could fit in pretty well with like the Hives.
Yeah.
And the Shins, maybe? Is that who I'm thinking of? But definitely the Hives.
Yeah. The Shins.
They're kind of from that same era.
Yeah, the Shins he's got a really nice voice. Like a really beautiful melody voice, though. Which, not to say that this guy doesn't have a good voice. It's just very, very not that. It's very different.
I would say bands that come up a lot on like a Pandora mix with them would be like the Black Keys.
I could see that.
The Hives. Even the Darkness. Definitely two very different singing style, and the music is different, but they both kind of have that almost like traditional rock revival feel.
Sure. Yeah. Their stuff kind of reminded me of a Tarantino film every now and then.
Okay.
Like I could see it being on a soundtrack if it was older, because Tarantino only does
one of their songs was actually used in a couple soundtracks.
In Tarantino soundtracks?
Not in Tarantino soundtracks. I was
gonna say, called it,
no,
man.
Not quite Tarantino. A movie with Shia LaBeouf called Disturbia.
Okay.
And Cloverfield.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the song was Taper Jean Girl.
Interesting. Huh.
That's when it goes, oh, shake, Taper Jean Girl, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
yeah,
that one was used in two soundtracks.
That's interesting. That's interesting that was in there. I remember Disturbia, because that was just like a different version of, wasn't it Broken Window? Was it Hitchcock's?
It's definitely a Hitchcock. Movie? I don't know the name, but it's the one, the classic trope of the person with a broken leg. In this case, he has an ankle monitor and he can't leave his house.
Yeah.
But the guy sits and peeps out his window at his neighbors and sees a murder.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a pretty solid film. Yeah, man, this was a lot different than what I was expecting coming into it. I listened to it a couple of times, through your playlist, because you gave me like 5 or 6 from each album of their first 2 CDs.
Yep.
And I think out of the 2, I liked their second album more.
Okay.
Based solely on the music itself. Not his singing, but the music. Like the guitars, the bass.
Yeah, it has a much more polished feel.
Yeah.
And it has a much more like, not experimental, but I would say compared to what they were doing before, you could tell at that point they are experimenting with different sounds.
Sure. Yeah, their first album was very chords a lot, and
their first album is pretty close to like, I think they could play at a punk show and people would be like, hell, like it's fast, it's pounding, just like, and all the drum beats are 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, and
yeah, it's got a very raw feel. Like if you were to go to a punk show in high school and listen to a local band, those are the vibes that you get on that first album.
Yeah, it's real garage rock.
Yeah, like
real southern garage rock. And dude, I can't help when I listen to this I wish I could have seen them when they were making that, when they first started like in 2003 playing that stuff.
Yeah,
because you can just feel the energy.
Sure.
They're young, they're hungry. I love early albums in bands' discographies because you get that a lot, and like you can just feel that it is raw.
Yeah. Do you think that some of that comes from recording technology as well. Like, not that obviously recording was better than what it has been in the past in the early 2000s, but a lot of first-time bands in the late 90s, early 2000s, they probably couldn't pay for great recording.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. That probably certainly has something to do with it.
And then as they progress, they can, pay for that. They get on better record labels that have better producers and that type of stuff.
Well, and also let me hold on, let me find the band members. Okay. So I'll give you a little bit of their kind of history, and it'll probably help make sense too of how they start. So the entire band is a family.
Oh, okay.
It is brothers Caleb, Jared, and Nathan.
All right.
And then their cousin Matthew, all with the last name Followill. So Caleb is the singer, rhythm guitar. Jared, his brother, is bass, keyboards. Matthew, the cousin, is lead guitar. And Nathan Followill, his brother, is like drums, percussion stuff.
Okay.
So Caleb, Nathan, and Jared, the brothers, they were the son of a Pentecostal preacher in the South.
Okay.
A traveling preacher. So literally their entire childhood was spent driving around Mississippi and Oklahoma to different tents, to different revivals for a couple weeks at a time for their father to preach. And basically they started playing music when somebody was just like, as part of service, they'd be like, here, bang on some drums. Okay. That was kind of how their music started.
That's hysterical because that's very Pentecostal.
Yeah, you can find. And one song, I didn't put it on the list. I probably should have. It's called Holy Roller Novocaine. And that was kind of one of their first big hits. You should go ahead and take a listen to that one. It's a really good song.
That's such a cool name for a song.
And so it seems like the lyrics are, all of his lyrics, I'll admit, it's kind of tough to get a read on a lot of the times. The way he sings is like, I'll be honest with you, I've been listening to these albums for 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
I still couldn't tell you every lyric in every song. Not even
tough.
Close. There's a lot of them where I'm still like, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure I get what you're saying, even if I don't understand what you're saying. Yeah. He has a hell of a voice. But in any case, so Caleb and Nathan, they turned 18. They moved to Nashville to start playing music.
Okay.
And they were working with people, learning how to write songs. And essentially they got a deal. They got a deal from a record company. But it was just supposed to be the two of them. Kind of a Black Keys type situation.
Okay.
And they were like, no, how about this? Our brother Jared, our brother Jared, who's still in high school, mind you, we'll teach him how to play bass.
Okay.
And our cousin Matt, he used to play guitar when he was like 10 or 11. So we four will be the band. But didn't call Matthew and Jared to clear it with them. So then what they did is they came and picked up Jared, once again, still in high school, and picked up Matthew and told him, oh, we're just going to go on a trip for a week. Kidnapped them, essentially. Locked themselves in a basement with an ounce of weed. And for a month straight, they just got stoned and wrote 4 or 5 songs.
That's crazy. I kind of love that, to be honest. That's wild.
Okay, so yeah, and so in that first month, they got 3 songs done. California Waiting, Molly's Chambers, and Holy Roller Novocaine.
Okay.
So those 3 songs they wrote in that first month, and basically the record company came, they played them for them, and they got signed.
Wow.
So that's another reason why that album is so raw. Their bass player is still learning how to play bass. Their guitar player, even though he has played guitar, wasn't like a touring musician, professional musician.
Sure. Yeah. Low-level guitar player.
Yeah.
Right?
So literally, as they're writing the first 2 albums, they're still learning how to play their instruments.
That's kind of nuts.
And it makes sense because their music kind of sounds unlike anything else too. They kind of have this unique sound.
Sure, like they're not following the rules because they don't know them, type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even on the drums, Nathan plays the drums.
Okay.
And I don't know how much you picked up on, like, he's subtly and sneakily a really weird but cool drum player. He does a lot of like waltz time,
Okay.
which is like 3/4 time.
Yeah.
Whereas most traditional music is like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3.
Yeah,
4.
especially rock music.
But-
a lot of times it's in 4/4.
Yeah. So, but what is considered a waltz is like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3.
Yeah.
So he does a lot of that. The song specifically "Genius."
Mhm.
If you give that one a listen, the drum beat is the snare drum is going 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, but then the bass drum behind it is going like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's like this off temp, like this off syncopation, like 1 2 3 and 4. 1 da 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 da. While meanwhile the snare drum is going 1 2 1 2 1 2. Like
That's kind of cool.
he does and there's a lot of that. He doesn't do like crazy drum solos,
Yeah.
but he is sneakily a really good drummer, and we used to try to play these songs in high school.
Yeah. Pretty tough.
And my buddy Mike Hegg, who played drums for us when we would jam, he hated trying to do the Kings of Leon songs. He's like, I don't know how he plays this.
Yeah.
He's like, the times, like, it doesn't make sense because what he does with his feet on the bass drum and what he does with like the tom toms and the snare doesn't match.
That's interesting. That's something that you got to have too for a drummer, or to be a drummer, is to hit those different time signatures.
So it kind of gives them this really weird,
that's kind of cool.
interesting sound. So, but that was the long way of saying I think that's also a big reason why they sound so raw in that first album.
Okay.
And why they were so quick to go a really different direction in the second album.
Yeah, well, and even from the second album to what is out for the radio-friendly stuff, it's very different from the radio, even in that album.
Yeah.
Like, I can start to see the change, but I think the biggest difference for me is the way that the lead singer sings versus what's on the radio. As far as those first two albums.
For sure.
Yeah, because I don't know what brought that on, but I felt the guy on the radio sounds like he's had vocal lessons. He sounds like he's been practicing singing for a long time, and I guess that's their fourth album, so he probably has been at that point.
Yeah.
But the guy on their first two albums sounds like he might have a natural knack, and he's gonna give it a try. And it's a totally different style.
How do you feel overall about the vocals on these two albums?
I'm not too keen on the vocals.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Not that I'm equating them to this as far as the type of band they are, but it's along the same lines with me with AC/DC, where the music I really enjoyed. I really enjoy AC/DC's music. Not a fan of the guy's vocals, either of their vocals.
Okay, wow.
All right.
That's like, I think that's what makes them. That's like such a big part of it.
AC/DC or Kings of Leon?
Both.
Oh, okay. I could see that. Yeah, I could see, and it's not something that's it's not egregious, right? It doesn't throw me off. It's not like, God, I really hate his vocals. But at the same time, I'm like, eh.
Yeah, it almost feels like he's singing bad intentionally.
Oh, yeah,
I get what you mean. Like, it's definitely, he like kind of like has this raspy wail that he does.
Sure.
That's, in many cases, it's really barely could be considered singing. I think that would be a fair statement.
There are parts of his vocals that I like. Those parts in particular, I think, where he's kind of raspy and like they're type of, I don't know, James Brown shit.
Yeah.
Type of thing. I kind of enjoy those, but the that to me doesn't do much.
Yeah. I always thought it kind of sounds like somebody's drunk uncle. Sad, like at the bar, just trying to. Well, let me tell you a story. There's this guy Joe, and gets a whiskey for the table. I didn't hear a word what he said. I put a bullet in his head. I lit up a cigarette. So I called up my friend Fred. I said, Fred, I just killed a man. Called him with my girlfriend, and now they both dead.
There we go. We just did the song.
Yeah, that's basically the song. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I can definitely see that. And again, I didn't dislike it, but probably his vocals were my least favorite part of their music.
Okay.
I liked the guitars a lot. I liked the bass a lot. I liked the drums, but they didn't stand out to me in the way that they stood out to you. I was honestly more focused on the bass.
Okay.
Going through it. It was jam music. Like, I could put it on, do the dishes, and I'm like bobbing my head, tapping my toes.
Dude, this is some of my favorite driving music.
Yeah, for sure. I could see that.
Dude, I mean, it's a nice sunny day.
Yeah.
The highway's not too busy. Put on some Kings of Leon and some of those in the back of the night to the red morning light. And I'm just fucking flooring it like, yeah, let's do it.
Wind in your hair. Yeah, got some sunglasses on. Yes, this is that style of music. For sure. Driving barefoot because you just shuffled your flip-flops off to the side. Yeah.
I would never do that.
Oh, I do that all the time.
I hate driving in bare feet.
What?
I don't like it.
I drive bare feet any chance I get.
Is it really illegal? I remember people always saying, like, you can't drive with bare feet. It's illegal. I don't know if that's true. I just don't like it.
I don't know if that's true either. My parents would say stuff like that to me, and they would also. Did your parents say, like, you can't have the car light on while you're driving?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, is that really
that
a thing?
People say? I don't know.
I've never had anybody pull me over and go, "Hey, you were driving barefoot and with the light on, so we're gonna have to take you in."
Yeah, you're going to jail, motherfucker.
If you'd have been doing one of them, I could give you off and with a warning, but both of them, nah. Get in the car. Reading me my
That is funny.
rights.
Yeah, anytime I see somebody driving with the light on, and it's like, you watch it. You watch it, pal.
You're being risky. Yeah, dude, I drive barefoot all the time.
Yeah, I don't like it. I have done it. Like, if I'm wearing flip-flops, you kind of have to if you're wearing flip-flops.
Yeah, it's really uncomfortable to
I
drive
wear
in flip-flops.
flip-flops very rarely, though.
Oh, once the season is good that I can wear flip-flops, that's usually what I'm in.
Yeah, you baking them piggies in the sun?
I like being barefoot. I actually just bought barefoot style shoes.
What's that mean? Like the Vibrams?
So they're similar. Vibrams would be in the barefoot shoe category.
Okay.
Essentially, they are a shoe that has a very thin sole, and there's no arch support. There's not really anything there other than it's like a sock with a sole that you can put on your foot.
Okay.
And the toe of the shoe is very wide so that your toes don't like scrunch up together the way that they do in a normal shoe.
So it's just that way you can be barefoot without getting your feet all nasty and stepping
essentially
on shit. Okay.
Yeah. But the soles are like super thin, so like those Vibram 5 fingers, like those toe shoes, you can, if you step on grass, you can kind of feel the texture of the shoe of the grass under your feet.
Oh, that's cool.
Or if you're on concrete, like, you can feel it that way. So I've been getting into barefoot shoes. I think I'm gonna just buy barefoot shoes from now on.
That's pretty cool. I dig that.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome.
Pretty cool. I forget what we were talking about.
Kings of Leon.
Kings of Leon, yeah. Those boys ain't wearing barefoot shoes. They're wearing cowboy boots.
Are they Southern guys?
Yeah, they're definitely Southern.
Yeah, what did you say? Mississippi is where
Mississippi.
they're?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, definitely Southern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spent their life at church revivals.
Dude, I bet they sell some wild shit.
Oh,
at Pentecostal church revivals.
Mm-hmm.
At Pentecostal churches, man, you see some stuff. It'll put the fear of God in you for real.
Yeah, no, we had an episode where you talked about seeing people being possessed, and well, not possessed, but having like the spirit being taken by the spirit and shit.
Yeah, wild stuff. But yeah, I wonder how much of that influenced their music too, as far as the content of what they sing about, because it very clearly does not seem anything with religious undertones to me, at least from what I could make out.
Yeah,
of
the music doesn't seem religious undertone, but I mean, I get kind of the feel like the way we were talking about the way he sings.
Mm-hmm.
The way he sings is kind of like a preacher. Like when he starts really getting worked up and yelling and screaming.
Sure.
Not that sounds like a preacher giving a sermon, but those Southern Baptist and Pentecostal churches, the pastors get really into it.
They get fired up.
They get really fired up.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of get that from him. And their father was a pastor doing this. So they probably saw that you know what I mean? They were learning stage presence from the time they were born.
Sure.
I'm not gay no more. I am delivered. Right? They were seeing that kind of shit all the time. So I get that vibe from him when he's singing.
Yeah.
Like when he starts getting all worked up.
Sure. Do you know what made them go from the style of music that this was, this kind of garage rock, and what kind of pushed them towards a radio-friendly sound? Do you have any insight into that?
I read an interview with them. It was around the time they were getting very popular. And it was after that the fourth album, which was Come Around Sundown.
And was that the radio album?
Or no, Only by Night. That's the one with the radio singles.
Okay.
And then after that, they released an album called Come Around Sundown. And so I read a interview with one of them. And they were saying essentially, because primarily Nathan and Caleb. Caleb, once again, is the singer. Him and Nathan are the older brothers.
Okay.
And so the majority of the songwriting is them.
Okay.
And so he was kind of saying that there's always this tug, this push and pull between the two of them of let's make something that's going to sell and not going to just flop, and let's make something that sounds really cool. So they're brothers, so I'm sure they can argue with each other and be really honest.
Sure.
And still at the end of the day, get the work done and get over it. But yeah, so essentially he was saying, one of them has the mindset of, I want to make the coolest, most genuine music I can. And then the other one is like, yeah, but this is our job. So let's make something that is going to get radio play and that people are going to like.
Okay.
And so between that tug and pull, they kind of in the middle is where they end up at. And the first album certainly doesn't feel like that. And even the second album, I mean, there are some weird songs on there. The song Day Old Blues.
Yeah.
That's when he's Day Old Blues.
Yeah. Yeah. The first two albums sound like they're the same band. I think if you were to just say, listen to this album and listen to this album, and then listen to this album, and then throw the one with the
which
radio singles.
Which one doesn't belong?
Yeah, which one doesn't belong? Which one is not the same band? I would definitely pick the radio album.
Yeah, for sure.
Like 100%. It just sounds. It sounds. Not even just the style of music is different, but the way he sings is different, too.
Yeah, and that kind of seems like that's probably one of those things. Is as they picked up steam and started getting popularity, I have to imagine he got that note every single time they met with record label people. Like, hey, you got to start singing your lyrics so people can understand what you're saying.
Sure.
And these first two albums, they did have a good bit of success with in the UK.
Okay. Isn't that weird?
They were very popular in England and Ireland. And that's really where they found a lot of their early success.
That's interesting.
So their first three albums did pretty well. I was reading for their first album, Youth and Young Manhood. In America, they sold like right around 100,000 units of that album.
Okay.
Whereas in the UK, they sold closer to 800,000.
Oh, wow. That's a lot more.
And they were nominated for awards and they won stuff. And
in the UK.
Some of them, like top 40 charts and stuff like that in the UK.
That's cool. That's weird that bands are that way. Because Toto's that way too. Like they were much bigger in Europe than they were in the States.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think
that's where Jimi Hendrix got popular?
What? Well, Jimi Hendrix, but he was popular here too, though. Yeah.
Yeah, eventually, but he didn't actually get really discovered until he went to England.
Oh.
Yeah, he was on what was called back in the day. It was called the Chitlin Circuit. So that it was essentially what you would call the Bible Belt, and it was black. Like R&B group. So he played backup guitar for Little Richard.
Huh.
He played guitar for Little Richard and the Isley Brothers.
Okay.
Actually, he and Little Richard really didn't get along because he was so good on the guitar that Little Richard felt like he was taking the spotlight away from him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, he was like a backup guitarist.
Wow.
Played guitar in people's bands. And then he went to England, and that's where he recorded Hey Joe and Purple Haze and all that stuff. And that's where he got popular.
Okay.
Made Eric Clapton like smash his guitar.
What?
Or not smash his. So, because in the 60s in England,
He had beef with Eric Clapton?
There was Clapton had beef with him.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Because Eric Clapton was God. In the 60s in England.
Okay.
There was a huge music scene.
Okay. Yeah.
Specifically in London, there were like music clubs, and that's really the birthplace of rock and roll. The Beatles, the Stones, the Who, Clapton.
Yeah.
And there was a show, and Hendrix went out first, and he's still new. Like, Purple Haze probably hadn't even come out yet. He was just this new guy in England that people were like, have you heard about Jimi Hendrix? This guy's insane. He plays the guitar like nobody else. And he went out and played, and Clapton was supposed to play after him, and Clapton took his guitar and went home.
Wow.
Because he was like, I can't go on after that. Because he was doing things nobody had ever thought to do. And this was before he was like burning the guitar and going all like fully theatrical with his performances.
Yeah.
But he was just played so good that Clapton hated him. Dude, when the Beatles released Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band,
yeah,
that day, Hendrix's perfect pitch, which means he can hear something and play it back. The day the Beatles released Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, he played a show and covered the entire album front to back.
What?
Yeah.
That's so wild.
And I mean, it doesn't sound great.
Sure.
Like I assume I've heard recordings of him doing some of those songs.
That's
But
pretty
I mean,
ballsy just to do an attempt of that, though.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure like Paul McCartney was like in the audience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did Paul McCartney think it was awesome? I feel like he would think it was
I
awesome.
believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Beatles loved Hendrix.
Yeah.
That's to my understanding. I'm not kind of fuzzy on that detail specifically, but yeah,
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I think it was Paul McCartney and George Harrison were at the show where Hendrix covered their entire album they had released that day. Dude. So yeah,
imagine their surprise.
What the fuck? Oh yeah. So yeah, England is, oftentimes where bands go to get, and I think it makes sense because, they have a similar sensibility to us, but not exactly the same. So something that's maybe, I think in America, we want stuff that's more polished.
Yeah, I would agree.
It seems like they are probably more likely, because let's be honest, they're yokels and they can't, we came from them, but that's why we defeated them, is because they stink.
Exactly.
And
now we like better things.
Exactly. We like things that are better.
Yeah.
So if your thing is kind of good, it's a turd that needs polished, go over to England.
You'll do great.
They'll help you polish it. To say this is I feel like I'm saying I love these albums and then just called them a turd. Not the case.
Okay. So did they ever have any other members in their band, or has it always been this band?
Yep,
like this group?
Just for them.
That's impressive in itself too.
Yeah, once again, family.
Yeah, but like Chevelle was a family too, and it was three.
Oh God, Chevelle! I remember them.
Yeah, it was three brothers, and at one point they kicked out their brother.
Yeah,
like two of the three of them.
Yeah, see Oasis too.
Yeah,
same.
Right?
Those guys still don't talk.
I mean, at some point you just, it's beyond why, and it's just you don't like them anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a legit blood feud.
Yeah, a legit blood feud. Yeah, so it's kind of cool that they have been able to be together for almost 20 years and make it work still. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, even their name, Kings of Leon, that's named after their grandfather was named Leon.
Oh, okay.
So literally they named the band after their grandpa.
So that's where they got their name.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's
Is there any songs that really stand out to you that you really enjoyed?
There actually was. Let me see if I can look at their track list real quick. It was one of the early songs on the second album, or at least the earlier songs on the second album of that playlist that you gave me. King of the Rodeo was one that I really enjoyed.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. I did like Taper Jean Girl, and I liked Raz quite a bit
That's
too.
great. How did you feel about the slower songs like Milk and
I liked
Soft?
I liked the
Dale's
slower
Blues?
songs. Yeah, I liked those. Yeah, I thought that they were pretty good. Yeah, musically, I really liked what they were doing in a lot of their stuff. His voice just didn't jump out to me, and I think for some reason I'm really into vocals. If there are vocals, like my mind just wants to pay attention to that.
Okay.
And I kind of have to force myself to listen to the rest of the music. Just naturally, I listen for harmonies and that type of stuff. So I think because of that and the way that he sings is generally not in my wheelhouse, it just didn't jump out at me. But I really, really enjoyed the music. Like, I don't want you to think that I didn't like this.
No, I get it. I was just curious if there were ones that stand out. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, those would be the ones that definitely stood out. For the first album,
Was there any songs you just didn't like or didn't care for?
not
Tranny, maybe.
yeah. I that one was not. That one probably would fall into that. But that was really it as far as
that's one where his voice gets real bad. That's one where it feels like his voice is intentional.
Yeah. But other than that, I think I liked the second one a lot more, just because I felt like with the first album, a lot of it sounded repetitive to me.
Okay, that could have been on me a little bit too. I would say listen to some of the just listen to that album.
Sure.
Because there are some I didn't put many of the slow songs from the first album on there.
Okay. All right.
But there are some ones on there I think you probably enjoy.
Yeah. Okay. And again, I thought that album was good. That album fully was like good background music.
Yeah.
You know, put something on and I can listen to it without having to think too deeply about it, and it just moves you.
Yeah.
This is the type of music that makes you want to move.
Oh, for sure.
You want to bob your head, tap your toes.
Yeah, driving, gym.
Yeah.
Just doing shit around the house.
Yeah.
Great.
This is that type of music. Yeah, for sure. 100%. How do you feel, Thor, about the radio stuff then? If you were introduced to this, and how were you introduced to this? Like, where did you find this?
One of my friends. I'm trying to think. I think it was probably my buddy Nick, who you met. He was one of the groomsmen at my wedding.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure it was Nick. It was either Nick or Matt. They were both groomsmen at my wedding.
I remember looking at Nick and being like, why is this guy in my house? Do you remember that?
Yes. You know what I remember most about that night? Is you and my wife of a couple hours getting into both wasted, both you super drunk, getting into a huge argument about religion.
Okay.
And the thing was, she was trying to and it was so infuriating to me because her sister had said something to her a couple days before. We were just having a conversation of this is kind of something that doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
And she was trying to she was like, well, what do you think about this? And didn't even explain the thing that she was trying to explain, said something completely different.
Oh, okay.
And then you're like, what? And then you were lighting her up and she was like, no. And so she was arguing a point that wasn't her point to begin with, and that she had was too drunk to even vocalize. And so you two were arguing about two different things.
That's kind of funny, That's kind of hysterical.
And literally got to like, it was towards the end of the night, and literally I had to be like, okay, I'm going to get in the car now. You can come out. I'm leaving in 2 minutes. So if you're in the car, cool. If not, have fun arguing with Micah all night.
Yeah, I'll go all night if no one reins me in.
Yeah. You guys were so drunk. I was so pissed. And literally, this was a couple hours after getting married.
Yeah.
I was so pissed.
Because it was the after party.
Because I was stone sober.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I was just high on life that day.
Sure. Yeah.
But,
yeah. Afterwards.
But she was wasted.
Yeah. I used to really like to get argumentative. I like to banter back and forth.
Yeah.
And getting inebriated brings that out in me.
Yeah, no. I love it. It's very fun.
So, I'm sorry, Kendra. I don't even know what we were arguing about.
I couldn't even tell you. I just know it was something religion-based.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But in a case, yeah, so Nick introduced me to this.
Okay.
We were talking about how Nick was just in your house and you were like, who is this guy? Why is he
Well,
here?
because I used to not like Nick.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because
okay.
like he liked it's real high school shit. In fact, it's junior high shit. Bringing it back around to junior high. It's junior high shit about like a girl that I was dating at the time. And I remember seeing him and I'm like, never in a million years would I have thought that guy is going to be in my house. I don't have anything against him now, right? It was forever ago. And I think that I even told him that, like while we were there or while everything was going on. I'm like, I cannot believe that you were in my house. And I think to my knowledge, we're fine because, it was forever ago.
Yeah.
But I laugh about it now.
Yeah. So
okay.
I'm pretty sure he introduced this album to me. It was either him or Matt.
Okay.
One of my other groomsmen. And the first song I ever heard was Joe's Head.
Okay.
I don't care what Joe said. I just put a bullet into his head.
And you thought that was it.
We loved that song. We learned it immediately. We learned how to play it immediately. Because there's this the guitar part in that is great. It's like, doodle-a-doo.
Yeah.
Doodle-a-doo, doodle-a-doo.
Yep.
And once again, it makes sense they were still learning. It's actually very easy to play.
Sure.
But it sounds very cool.
Yeah, it's a cool lick.
And even the chord progression is really cool. And it was, after that, we just started listening to the album constantly.
Okay. So how do you feel about their stuff now? Do you is it just not for you?
I'll be honest with you, I have not listened to any of it aside from the stuff on the radio.
Okay.
And as far as songs on the radio go, I think those songs are very good.
Yeah.
I don't dislike them, but I know I wouldn't want to just listen to that.
Yeah, what I've heard on the radio makes me go, I feel like I would like their songs on the radio, but I would not like their other stuff.
Exactly.
That's how I feel about Blink-182.
Yep.
It's how I feel.
That's kind of how I feel about Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Like, I don't hate Taylor Swift song. I don't think I would want to just listen to it.
Sure.
But I hear them and I'm like, this is a good song.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say anything bad about it.
Yeah.
It's not something I would really want to listen to. So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel about the newer albums.
Okay.
I mean, I might give them a listen.
Yeah.
Just to see what they've been up to, because even that album came out like 2008.
Yeah.
And they've made like 3 albums since then. So they've still been making music.
Yeah.
They're still together. I'm pretty sure they're still out on tour now.
That's crazy. That's so cool that they can make that work.
Yeah. It's very cool.
Yeah, because if you're a family and if you are able to play and just be with your family all the time and make money, that's cool.
Yeah, you gotta like your family, I guess.
Yeah, Skillet does that too. It's a husband-wife combo.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the lead singer.
Dude, I couldn't imagine. Jesus Christ.
Right?
I love my wife to death, but I don't know if I could have a career with her as well.
Yeah. I like to keep my career and my personal life very separate.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you there, Thor. I'm with you there. But, yeah, dude, well, this is I would say it's a pretty solid recommendation. It's definitely out of my wheelhouse. It's probably not something, if I were to listen to one of the songs on my own, I don't think that I would have listened to anything else.
Okay,
by
I get
them.
that. Yeah.
But listening to everything, that's something about this show, is that we kind of are forced to listen to things that we might naturally not want to listen to.
Yeah, for sure.
And I feel like that helps me appreciate it more, because just listening to one song, I don't think I would have started to listen to the bass or started to listen to the guitars, because my mind would have just been stuck on the vocals.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I'd have been like, no, it's not for me. Like, it's okay, but it's not for me.
Yeah. Okay, Mushmouth. We'll see you later.
Exactly. But listening to it a couple of times through, I think it helped me find things to like about it.
Okay.
If
right
that
on,
makes
cool.
sense.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does.
So yeah, overall, I think it was a pretty good recommendation, man. Again, it's a perfect recommendation for this show.
Cool. Alrighty, so let's move to ratings then.
All right.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I don't even know. You know what? How about just on a scale of 1 to 10?
1 to 10 numbers. I'm gonna go with 7.
Okay.
Yeah, solid album. Well, solid mix of those two albums.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, I really liked the music.
And you would take Aha Shake over Youth and Young Manhood.
I would, yeah. I leaned towards that one.
Yeah,
out
makes
of the
sense. That seems more your style.
Yeah.
Honestly, it has more melody, more melodic stuff,
Mm-hmm.
more like crisper, kind of clean, more crisp and clean guitar tracks. And
Yeah. What do you think about the White Stripes? Do you think they would fit into this category?
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, me too.
They could definitely be on the same playlist. And I also fucking love the White Stripes.
Yeah, they're one for like, I feel like I would like their singles. I like their singles. I don't know if I would like their music, like the rest of their albums.
Yeah, it's definitely more, a lot of the stuff that's not the singles is more like blues inspired.
Oh, maybe I'd like that. I enjoy some blues.
Like genuinely one of the White Stripes songs it's called Little Room, and it's just Jack White playing a tambourine and singing.
That might be kind of fun. That might be kind of fun.
It's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
I'll let folks pause this. Go listen to Little Room by White Stripes. It's like a minute long. and it's really good. It's just a man singing with a tambourine, and it's fucking incredible.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. All right, folks. Well, there you have it. 1 out of 10. That's the scale that I used.
1 out of 10 numbers.
1 out of 10 numbers. And I gave it a 7.
7 numbers.
7 numbers. Yep. How do you guys feel about Kings of Leon? Does anybody else out there, do you guys prefer the newer type of music that they're doing? What are they doing now anyway? Is it good? Let us know. Because it's been like 15 years since either of us have really listened to anything of theirs, as far as their new stuff.
Yeah.
So with that, next week, Thor, I've got a recommendation for you.
Okay.
We are going to get into a series. It's a fairly, the season is fairly short. It's only 8 episodes, and the episodes themselves are only 30 minutes long.
Okay. Right on.
It is the show called Barry, which you can find it on what used to be called HBO Max. Now you can find it on Max, because fuck those letters.
Yeah. I saw the funniest like internet responses to them changing their name. And the best one though was this guy was like, HBO Max is now going to be officially known as Max, the place where you watch HBO. Those assholes. They made me create a new account.
Yeah. They logged me out of the account too.
Because Warner has bought a bunch of stuff. I think they bought Discovery.
Oh, so
I don't know if they all were, but yeah, they're basically taking everything Warner Brothers
and putting it in there
and putting it on there. That's my assumption of what exactly happened. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
But yeah,
Well,
Max.
yeah. Well, Barry is the show that we're going to be watching.
I've seen that come up. I have no idea what it is or what it's about.
Do you want me to give you a rundown?
It just has, I know it has Bill Hader.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I know about it.
So it's like a dark comedy. I would say it's pretty even on the dark and the comedy. And it's about a hitman who discovers a love for theatrical acting.
Okay.
And that's where we'll leave it.
All right. Sounds good.
Yep.
So Barry on Max.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We're going to watch. I mean, the first season's 8 episodes long. Watch as much as you want.
Okay. Yeah, no, we'll do the first season. So
Okay.
we'll just review the whole first season.
All right. Well, next time on Get Wrecked, we're going to cover the first season of Barry on Max. So, until next... Bleh, bleh, bleh. Keep that in. Until next time, folks,
As always,
you get wrecked out there.
stay wrecked.
Yeah.